Red Bull is facing a major setback. The FIA introduced a big rule change at the end of July, and it looks like Red Bull might be hit the hardest. After a deep inspection of their brake system, suspicions have surfaced that this was the main reason for the rule rewrite. With their other upgrades not performing as expected, Red Bull could be in serious trouble for the rest of 2024 and even into 2025. One of the hottest topics lately has been the FIA's rule changes introduced at the end of July. Among these, the banning of asymmetrical braking stands out. Previously regulated by Article, Red Bull had found a loophole that definitely pushing the limits of the rulebook. With the new rule rewrite, Red Bull might be in more trouble than they anticipated. Anytime a rule gets rewritten mid-season, F1 experts and fans start to suspect that a team has been exploiting a grey area. Like last year's plankware issue, this season's spotlight is on Red Bull. Many teams had already asked the FIA to investigate specific parts of Red Bull's car, suspecting something fishy. Once Red Bull was ordered to remove the questionable part, they suddenly lost the significant advantage they had enjoyed earlier in the season. This change could shake up the rest of 2024 and beyond for the Austrian team. While the lack of performance can't be directly linked to the new rules, the updated regulation on asymmetrical braking is a significant change that could impact Red Bull. Now clearly states that the braking system must be designed so that within each braking circuit, the forces applied to the brake pads must be of equal magnitude and act as opposite pairs on a specific brake disc. Any system that can create asymmetrical braking torque on a given axis is strictly prohibited. The previous version of Article also prohibited asymmetrical braking, but the new wording is much more precise and leaves no room for interpretation. This clarity raises questions about why Red Bull is particularly affected by this change. To understand this, we must revisit the FIA investigation conducted on Red Bull's car during the Australian Grand Prix. During the race, Red Bull's driver Venn experienced a failure in the rear right brake, which forced him to retire. FIA technicians discovered that Red Bull's RB20 featured an inertial valve in the braking system downstream of the brake-by-wire system. This valve, with a T-connection, received a single hydraulic pressure, which was then directed to the rear axle by the brake-by-wire system. The crucial point is that this valve had a significant influence on where the braking pressure was applied, either to the left or right side of the rear axle, depending on the car's direction through a corner. The inertial valve isn't supplied by Brembo, the manufacturer of the braking system, meaning it doesn't fall under the standard safety modifications. This unique component allowed Red Bull to adjust braking pressure during cornering, giving them a potential advantage. However, with the new rule clarification, this mechanism could now be considered illegal. What does this mean for Red Bull? With this change, Red Bull may have to remove or redesign this component, potentially losing the edge it provided. While it's too early to say definitively, this rule change could severely impact Red Bull's performance for the remainder of the 2024 season and into 2025. The FIA's stricter stance on asymmetrical braking could mean more scrutiny and adjustments for Red Bull, putting them in a challenging position moving forward. Of course, it's worth highlighting that Red Bull's inertial valve only functions when the car is entering a corner. When the car is braking in a straight line, the braking force between the right and left sides remains balanced. The key advantage of this system is that it allows the driver to achieve perfect cornering precision, minimizing understeer. If Red Bull drivers like Verstappen or Perez mastered this system, it would give them a significant edge in maintaining control and speed through corners. Many might assume that the FIA would have thoroughly inspected this system in recent races. However, it's crucial to understand that finding a loophole doesn't automatically mean Red Bull broke any rules. They simply found a way to exploit the system within the existing regulations, much like how Mercedes accused them of violating plankware rules last year, a claim that turned out to be baseless. What's intriguing is the timing of Red Bull's sudden loss of performance. After the Miami Grand Prix, where these inspections began, Red Bull's dominance started to wane. This drop coincided with McLaren and Mercedes suddenly closing the gap, which surprised everyone, including those teams. While it could be a coincidence, the sequence of events has raised eyebrows and sparked speculation. So Red Bull's recent drop in performance seems more significant than the progress made by McLaren and Mercedes with their upgrades. The issues with Red Bull's car have left drivers Verstappen and Perez dealing with a less balanced vehicle, which might explain their struggles on the track. There are also rumors swirling about Perez's future with Red Bull. Some speculate that the team is focusing solely on Verstappen for the championship, possibly considering the Constructors' Championship as a lost cause. With a 78-point lead, Verstappen is in a strong position, but the pressure is mounting as he faces tough competition from both McLaren and Mercedes in the remaining races. With 10 races to go, Verstappen's path to victory won't be easy, especially if McLaren's Norris finds more speed. The chances of winning the championship could slip away quickly if Red Bull doesn't address their car's issues. Unfortunately, fixing these problems isn't straightforward. Red Bull's motorsport advisor Marco mentioned that they're counting on Verstappen's exceptional qualifying skills, particularly at Zandvoort, where overtaking is tough. Looking ahead, can Red Bull bounce back? As the season heads into its final stretch, Red Bull's focus during the summer break will be on brainstorming solutions to improve their car. Whether this will be enough to regain their dominance remains uncertain, but the team faces a challenging road ahead. On this, Marco shared that during the summer break, Red Bull faces a 15-day shutdown, preventing any work on their car. This break is crucial for Red Bull as they need to figure out where things went wrong. The RB20 has lost its balance compared to the first 3 races, and it's unclear how long it will take to fix this issue. Marco admitted that a definitive solution might not be ready by Zandvoort, but intense brainstorming is underway. Red Bull's struggles stem from pushing the RB9 concept to its limits, leading to a change in design for the RB20. This shift was a calculated risk, driven by the assumption that other teams like McLaren and Mercedes would quickly catch up. Now that the MCL38 and W15 are nearly on par with Red Bull's performance, the move is being scrutinized. Was this change a wise decision or a misstep? Despite the challenges, Red Bull felt the risk was necessary to optimize their aerodynamics. Marco noted that they had to push the boundaries to maintain their advantage, even if it meant taking a gamble. However, with the competition catching up faster than expected, it seems that the risk hasn't paid off as hoped. Red Bull's decision to take this risk was driven by necessity, but it now leaves them in a precarious position. The team's struggles are compounded by their outdated wind tunnel, which hampers detailed work. Well, the team already knew that their competitors would eventually optimize their car concepts, so they decided to take a radical step. As a team unafraid of risks, whether at the factory, on the racetrack, or in terms of strategy, they embraced the challenge. According to Marco, it's too early to judge whether this change in concept was the right move. The strong start to the season has helped them maintain their lead in the championships, but only time will tell if this strategy pays off by the end of the year. Now, Red Bull faces a serious threat to their Constructors' Championship lead. McLaren is only 42 points behind, with both Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris driving at the top of their game. Meanwhile, Sergio Perez has little time left to prove his worth to Red Bull after a disappointing performance at the Belgian Grand Prix. With the team possibly shifting its focus solely to the Drivers' Championship, the pressure on Max Verstappen to maintain his lead is immense. Although it's unlikely that Norris can close the 78-point gap, a few bad races could turn the tide against Red Bull. The recent rule change, particularly the investigation in Australia and the subsequent removal of a part of Red Bull's brake system, has raised questions about the car's balance. Could these factors significantly impact Red Bull in the remaining 10 races of the season? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below and subscribe for more such videos.